My aunt slapped a beer out of my hand because she expected me to be the designated driver for 20 people during a blizzard. So I got in my truck, locked the cabin door from the outside, and drove home, leaving them stranded in the mountains with 5 sports cars that couldn't handle the snow. I am the family doormat, or at least I was until 11 p.m. last night. I am 26 years old, the youngest of 3 cousins, and for some reason, the only one my family trusts behind the wheel. Since I got my license at 16, I have been the unpaid Uber driver for every wedding, birthday, funeral, and holiday gathering. It started small, driving grandma home because she couldn't see at night. Then it became driving my parents because they wanted to have a few glasses of wine. Then slowly, it morphed into an expectation. Oh, Lily is coming. Great, we don't need to book a taxi. For 7 years, I have spent New Year's Eve sober. While my cousins got wasted and hooked up with strangers, while my aunts and uncles danced on tables, I sat in the corner with a Diet Coke, clutching my keys, waiting for the inevitable text. Bring the car around. I have cleaned vomit out of my upholstery more times than I care to count. I have broken up fights in the backseat between relatives who love each other when sober and hate each other when drunk. I have been pulled over by cops who thought I was a kidnapper because my passengers were screaming so loud. I missed my own 21st birthday party because my cousin Sarah got too drunk at the pregame, and I had to drive her to the emergency room for fluids while everyone else went to the club. They promised they would make it up to me. They never did. This year, I put my foot down. My Uncle Jerry rented a massive, luxury cabin in the mountains for the whole extended family. It was beautiful, log walls, a hot tub, a massive fireplace, and a deck that looked out over the valley. But it was also remote. To get there, you had to drive 5 miles up a winding, unpaved switchback road that was treacherous even in July. In December, it was a death trap. The elevation meant that while it might be raining in the city, it was snowing hard at the cabin. I sent a text to the family group chat in October, the moment the booking was confirmed. Me, the cabin looks great. Just a heads up, I am planning to drink this year. It's been a long year at work, and I want to celebrate. I will not be driving anyone. Please arrange your own transport or plan to stay at the cabin. My mom replied with a thumbs-up emoji. My Aunt Linda, Jerry's wife, wrote, "We'll figure it out, don't worry so much." I sent a reminder in November, when the meal planning started. Me, reminder, I am bringing tequila and I am drinking it. I am not the DD. Please make sure we have a shuttle plan if we are going to the bar. My cousin Mike replied, "Lol, okay, lush, we get it." I sent a final reminder 3 days ago, checking the weather forecast. The meteorologists were calling for a historic snowfall in the region. Me, it is supposed to snow 12 inches on NYE. My truck is the only vehicle with 4WD and chains. I am not driving down that mountain in a blizzard after drinking. If you guys want to go to the bar in town for the countdown, you need to hire a shuttle service now. They book up fast. Radio silence. I checked the chat logs. Everyone had read the message. Nobody responded. I assumed they had listened. I assumed they had hired a shuttle or planned to just party at the cabin. I was naive. I underestimated the sheer weight of their entitlement. We arrived at the cabin around 3 p.m. yesterday. The snow was already falling, thick, wet flakes that stuck to everything. The drive up was hairy. My Ford Bronco handled it fine because I have off-road tires and I know how to drive in powder. But I watched my Uncle Jerry's rear-wheel drive BMW slide sideways twice on the switchbacks. He was fishtailing dangerously close to the guardrails. My cousin Mike was driving his lowered Honda Civic with summer tires. He bottomed out 3 times and got stuck on a patch of ice a mile from the cabin. I had to get out, hook up a tow strap, and pull him the rest of the way up while he sat in his heated seat texting. By the time we got to the top, the road behind us was already disappearing under a blanket of white. The wind was picking up, howling through the pines. We unpacked. The cabin was amazing. There were 20 of us. My parents, my aunt and uncle, my cousins, their partners, and my grandmother. The fire was roaring. The vibe was good. People were laughing, unpacking coolers of beer and wine. I felt a little knot of anxiety in my stomach, but I pushed it down. I was prepared. I had my tequila. I had my pajamas. I was staying in. Then at 5 p.m., the plan was revealed. My Aunt Linda walked into the living room carrying a large crystal salad bowl. She set it on the coffee table with a loud clatter. She clapped her hands for attention. "Okay, everyone," she chirped, looking around the room with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "House rules, keys in the bowl. We don't want anyone driving drunk later." It seemed responsible. Everyone tossed their keys in. Jerry threw his BMW fob. Mike threw his Honda keys. My parents threw their rental car keys. My cousin Sarah threw her SUV keys. Then Linda turned to me. She didn't ask for my keys. She smiled and said, "Lily, you keep yours, obviously. You'll need them to shuttle the first group down at 9 p.m. I froze. I was standing by the fridge, holding a lime I was about to slice. The room went silent. "What?" "The bar in town," Linda said, as if explaining something to a toddler who was having trouble grasping basic concepts. "The reservation at the Rusty Antler is for 10 p.m. The cabin isn't big enough for a dance floor and the kids want a party. So we're going down for the countdown. It's only a 20-minute drive. You can take the older folks down first. Grandma wants to see the band, then come back for the cousins. 3 trips should do it." 3 trips, up and down a mountain, in a blizzard, on New Year's Eve. That was 3 hours of driving in lethal conditions. "Aunt Linda," I said, my voice steady, though my hands were starting to shake. "I told you months ago, I am not driving, I am drinking." The room went quiet. You could hear the crackle of the fire and the wind outside. Linda laughed. It was a nervous, dismissive laugh, the kind you use when a child says something silly. "Oh, honey, stop joking, you always drive. Besides, look outside, it's snowing. None of these other cars can make it down that hill. Mike's car is basically a sled. Jerry's BMW is useless. Your truck is the only safe option. You have to drive, it's a safety issue." "Exactly," I said. "Which is why I warned you to hire a shuttle. Did you hire the shuttle?" "Well, no," she said, her smile tightening at the corners. "I called them, but they wanted $500 for the night." "That's ridiculous when we have family with a perfectly good truck. Why would we pay a stranger when you're here?" "That sounds like a you problem," I said. "I am not a shuttle service. I am a guest. I paid my share for the cabin rental. I bought groceries. I am on vacation." "Don't be selfish," my Uncle Jerry chimed in from the couch, already nursing a scotch. "It's just a few hours of driving. You can drink tomorrow." "I don't want to drink tomorrow," I said. "I want to drink tonight with everyone else." I turned around, opened the fridge, and grabbed a cold beer. It wasn't even the tequila yet. I just needed something in my hand. I popped the cap off using the counter edge. It hissed loudly in the silent kitchen. I raised the bottle to my lips. That's when Linda snapped. She crossed the room in 2 strides. She didn't use her words. She used her hand. She slapped the beer bottle. It wasn't a gentle tap. It was a full-force, open-handed swing. The bottle flew out of my hand, spun in the air, and smashed against the stone fireplace hearth. Glass shattered everywhere. Beer foamed over the expensive rug and splashed onto my boots. "You are ruining the night," Linda screamed. Her face was red, veins popping in her neck. She looked deranged. "You selfish little brat, it is snowing outside. We can't drive these cars. You have to be sober to get us down. Do you want your grandmother to die in a ditch? Put the alcohol down and grow up." My grandmother, for the record, was currently asleep in the master bedroom and had expressed 0 interest in going to a loud bar with a cover band. I looked at the shattered glass. I looked at the beer soaking into the rug. I looked at my family. My mom was looking at her shoes, refusing to make eye contact. My dad was pretending to be interested in the ceiling beams. My cousin Mike was snickering behind his hand, whispering something to Sarah. Nobody stood up for me. Nobody said, "Linda, that was assault." Nobody said, "Lily told us she wasn't driving." Nobody said, "Hey, maybe we should have paid the $500. They just waited. They waited for me to apologize. They waited for me to clean up the glass, grab my keys, and accept my role as the servant. They expected me to bow my head, say, "I'm sorry, Aunt Linda," and spend my night risking my life on an icy road while they took shots. Something inside me broke. It wasn't a loud break. It was a quiet, final click. You're right, I said softly. Linda exhaled, looking triumphant. She smoothed her sweater. Finally, grab a broom, clean this mess up. I mean, you're right that the other cars can't make it down, I said. I didn't grab a broom. I walked past her. I walked to the coat rack by the door. I put on my heavy parka. I zipped it up to my chin. I sat down on the bench and put on my heavy snow boots, lacing them tight. I grabbed my overnight bag, which I hadn't unpacked yet because I had a bad feeling about this trip from the start. Where are you going? Mom asked, finally looking up, fear starting to dawn in her eyes. Home, I said. You can't go home, Linda scoffed, crossing her arms. You have to drive us to the bar in 4 hours. Stop being dramatic. I'm not driving you to the bar, I said, standing up and throwing my bag over my shoulder. And I'm not staying here to be assaulted. I warned you. I told you repeatedly. And you decided that saving $500 was worth treating me like a slave. You decided my safety and my enjoyment meant nothing compared to your wallet. You can't leave, Mike shouted, realizing the gravity of the situation. He jumped up from the couch. Dude, my Civic is stuck in a snowbank. If you leave, we're stranded. We can't get down. I know, I said. Good luck with that. I walked out the front door. The wind hit me instantly, biting and cold. The snow was already 6 inches deep on the porch and falling fast. It was a whiteout. I walked to my Bronco. It was covered in white, looking like a beast in the darkness. I brushed off the windshield with my sleeve. I could see them watching me from the big bay window. Linda was frantic, gesturing at my dad. My dad was running toward the door. I got in. I locked the doors immediately. I started the engine. The V6 roared to life, warm and reliable. I turned on the heated seats. My dad ran out onto the porch in just his sweater. He looked freezing. He banged on my window. Lily, stop. You can't do this. We have no food. That was the kicker. I had forgotten. The plan was to eat dinner at the bar. The cabin was stocked with booze, mixers, some bags of chips, and maybe a few boxes of crackers, but no actual meals. They hadn't brought groceries because they were eating out all weekend. I rolled the window down an inch. You have beer, I yelled over the wind. There's plenty of calories in beer. Maybe Linda can make a salad out of the lime she didn't let me use. I put the truck in reverse. My dad tried to grab the door handle, but it was locked. I was already moving. I backed out, shifted into drive, and engaged the 4WD. The tires bit into the fresh snow. I drove down the driveway. I saw Linda in the window, her mouth open in a scream I couldn't hear. I saw Mike flipping me off. I saw my mom crying. I didn't stop. The drive down the mountain was terrifying. Even with 4WD and good tires, I was sliding. The visibility was near zero. The snow was coming down in sheets, illuminated by my high beams like hyperspace stars. The trees on either side of the road were bent low under the weight of the snow. It took me an hour to go 5 miles. I passed 2 cars in the ditch, locals who had underestimated the storm. If I had stayed, if I had tried to shuttle them down in shifts, someone would have died. I was certain of it. A drunk backseat driver screaming at me, a patch of black ice, a moment of distraction, we would have gone off the edge. There are no guardrails on some of those corners, just a 1,000-foot drop into the pine forest. By the time I hit the main highway, the snow turned to a heavy, miserable sleet. I had cell service again. My phone, which had been silent during the descent because of the lack of signal, suddenly exploded. It vibrated so hard it danced across the passenger seat. 17 missed calls. 42 text messages. I pulled over into a gas station to check them, just in case there was a genuine medical emergency. Mom, 5:15 p.m., turn around right now. This isn't funny. Dad, 5:20 p.m., we are sorry about Linda. Come back, we can't stay here without a car. Linda, 5:30 p.m., you little brat. I'm calling the police. You stole the only safe vehicle. Mike, 5:45 p.m., I'm hungry. There's only Pringles. Uncle Jerry, 6 p.m., Lily, be reasonable. We will pay you. $100, come back. Mom, 6:30 p.m., the power just flickered. We are trapped. The snow is blocking the driveway. You have to come back and plow us out. Linda, 7 p.m. I hope you crash. I stared at the messages. $100. They thought $100 was enough to make me turn around, drive back up a mountain in a blizzard, and save them from their own stupidity. I didn't answer. I put on a podcast, a true crime one about a cult, which felt appropriate. I drove the 2 hours back to my apartment in the city. The roads were clearer down here, just wet and slushy. I stopped at a Domino's that was still open. I ordered a large pepperoni pizza, cheesy bread, and cinnamon twists. I went to the liquor store next door and bought a 6-pack of the exact same beer Linda had slapped out of my hand, plus a bottle of nice tequila. I got home at 9 p.m. My apartment was warm. It was quiet. It smelled like clean laundry, not wood smoke and family tension. I put on my pajamas. I sat on my couch, ate my pizza, and watched the countdown on TV. At midnight, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I thought about ignoring it, but curiosity got the better of me. "This is Officer Miller from the County Sheriff's Department," a voice said. My heart skipped a beat. "Yes. I'm calling regarding a report of a stolen vehicle and a kidnapping." I laughed. I couldn't help it. "Let me guess, Linda. She claims you stole the family vehicle and trapped 20 people in a cabin with no provisions. She says they are in immediate danger of starvation." "Officer," I said, leaning back into my cushions. "The vehicle is a Ford Bronco registered in my name. I have the title. I drove myself home because my aunt assaulted me. She struck me." "Assaulted you?" "Yes, she slapped a drink out of my hand and screamed at me. I didn't feel safe, so I left. They have 5 other cars there. A BMW, a Honda, a Toyota. They aren't trapped. They just don't know how to drive in snow. And they aren't starving. They just didn't bring dinner because they planned to go to a bar." "They say they have no food," the officer said, sounding exhausted. "They've called 911 3 times in the last hour demanding a rescue chopper." "A rescue chopper," I burst out laughing again, "for missing dinner." "They are quite persistent," the officer said. "Look, ma'am, the road up there is closed. The plows won't be out until morning. We can't send a squad car up there right now. It's too dangerous." "Are they in immediate danger? Do they have heat?" "It's a luxury cabin," I said. "They have a massive fireplace, central heat, and a hot tub. They have running water. They have electricity, unless the grid went down, but they have wood for the fire. They'll be fine. They just won't be partying." "Okay," the officer said. "I'll update the log. We'll do a welfare check in the morning when the road's clear. I advise you not to answer their calls tonight. They seem agitated." "Way ahead of you, officer. Happy New Year." "Happy New Year," he said, and I could hear the smile in his voice. I slept like a baby. The next morning, January 1st, I woke up to a silence on my phone that was more terrifying than the ringing. No texts, no calls. I checked the weather. The storm had passed, but the mountain got hammered. They were buried under 2 feet of snow. Around noon, I got a text from my cousin Sarah, the quiet one, who hadn't thrown her keys in the bowls. "Sarah, it's Lord of the Flies up here. Linda tried to cook a bag of marshmallows over the fire for breakfast because the power actually did go out around 2 a.m. She set off the smoke alarm and woke everyone up. Mike tried to drive his Civic down the driveway to get help and slid into a tree. The bumper is gone. Grandma is just drinking gin and laughing. She says this reminds her of the 70s. I smiled. Grandma was a badass. They didn't get out until January 2nd. The county plow finally cleared the road, but because Mike had crashed his car and blocked the driveway, they couldn't get the other cars out. They had to pay a tow truck to come up. The tow truck driver charged them hazard pay because it was a holiday weekend and the conditions were still bad. "Sarah, the tow cost $600. Uncle Jerry had to pay it because Mike's card got declined. Linda is crying in the bathroom." They arrived home yesterday evening. My mom came over to my apartment immediately. She looked haggard. She hadn't showered in 3 days because the pipes at the cabin had frozen when the power went out. She smelled like campfire smoke and resentment. She pointed a shaking finger at me as she walked in. You are selfish. You endangered the family. Linda is furious. She wants you to pay for the tow truck. I'm not paying for anything, I said calmly. Linda assaulted me. She slapped me. You saw it. You said nothing. It was just a beer, Mom screamed. It was stress. She wanted everyone to be safe. She was just trying to make sure we got to the party. If she wanted everyone to be safe, I said, she shouldn't have relied on a single 26-year-old to drive 20 drunk people down an icy mountain in the dark. I saved you, Mom. If I had driven you guys, we would have crashed, just like Mike did. Except if I crashed the Bronco with 8 people in it, we would have gone off the cliff. Mom went quiet. She sat down on my sofa. She knew I was right. Mike was a terrible driver, but even a good driver struggles in a blizzard with a heavy load and screaming passengers. It was awful, she whispered. We had to eat plain potato chips for dinner. The power went out. We were cold. Linda screamed for 4 hours straight. I had pizza, I said. It was delicious. Mom glared at me. Linda says you're banned from family gatherings. She says she never wants to see your face again. Good, I said. I accept. And Jerry says you owe him for the rental. I paid my share, I said. I have the Venmo receipt. If he wants to sue me, he can try. But I'll countersue for assault and battery against his wife. Mom sighed. She looked defeated. Everyone is so mad at you. Let them be mad, I said. They are mad because I stopped being their servant. They are mad because for the first time, they had to face the consequences of their own poor planning. I haven't spoken to Linda or Jerry. Mike sent me a Venmo request for $500 for his bumper with the caption, "Your fault." I declined it. The family chat is currently a war zone. Half the cousins, the younger ones who were secretly relieved they didn't have to go to the bar, think I'm a hero. They've been sending me memes about freedom and the great escape. The older generation thinks I'm a monster who tried to kill them. But here is the thing. For the first time in 7 years, I woke up on New Year's Day without a hangover from stress. I didn't have to clean anyone's vomit. I didn't have to listen to drunk uncles argue about politics in my rearview mirror. I didn't have to worry about anyone's safety but my own. I spent the day eating leftover pizza, reading a book, and planning a trip for next year. It was the best holiday of my life. I realized something up on that mountain. Watching the snow fall on my windshield as I drove away from them. Being the reliable one is just a nice way of saying the one we can use. They didn't value me. They valued my utility. They valued my truck. They valued my sobriety. And the moment I removed that utility, the moment I asserted my own needs, they turned on me. So let them be mad. Let them be banned. I have my truck. I have my peace. And I have a very clear schedule for next New Year's Eve. I think I'll go to the beach, alone, and I'm going to turn my phone off.
If you have made it this far and want to see more videos like this, then kindly subscribe and turn on notifications so you may never miss another story like this.